Welcome to the Burnout to Lit Up podcast. I am your host, Erica Del Pozo, occupational therapist, certified health coach, CEO and founder of Joy Energy Time, Miami Girl, and Pineapple Lover. In this podcast, we provide the resources on how to deal with stress, burnout, and anxiety, how to get energized, find true satisfaction and alignment in your life, and more. You will learn how to slay your burnout beast and go from burnt out to a lit up life. Let's do this. Welcome to the Burnout to Lit Up podcast. It's me, Erica, and if you're brand new, then welcome. If you are a returning listener, then welcome back. You get to hang out with me today just for a little bit. This will be a quickie episode, and I will be sharing 3 things to not do when you are stressed. I just finished a really stressful month. April was cray. It was a wild month. And last week was tremendo stressful. I mean, I can't really stop the Spanglish. It is what it is. So last week was just tremendo stressful. And it's really not about the stress that we face. It's about how we deal with that stress. There were things I did well in handling all the stress I had in April, and there were things that I didn't do well. So in this episode, I'm going to be vulnerable and really reflecting on how I did. And I am kind to myself knowing that none of us are perfect. We are all evolving beings, and we can always learn from our experiences. So if you're listening to this, the day this episode comes out, I am my future self. I am in Spain. Right now, recording this, I'm pre-recording this. I'm leaving for Spain tonight. So I can't wait. We will be there for 10 days. It's our second time in Spain. España is amazing. If you have not been, I highly recommend it. Last time we went to Madrid, Pamplona, and Barcelona. Now we're going to Andalusia, which is the southern region. So we're going to Sevilla, Córdoba, Ronda, y Granada. So I've been dreaming about this region in Spain since I was a little girl. And the first time we went was amazing. Like, you have to check out Barcelona. Madrid is amazing. And we did see the running of the bulls in Pamplona. It was really a wild experience. I wouldn't do it again. I personally think it's very cruel, but it was just to experience that was a once in a lifetime opportunity. So we can't wait to go back to Spain. As you are listening to this episode, we will be eating tapas, sipping on sangria, soaking in the Spanish sun. So book your flight right now. Go to Spain. Okay. So let's dive into these 3 things not to do when you're stressed. So the first one is don't throw your self-care out the window when you're stressed. We tend to get or completely neglect taking care of ourselves during stressful periods of our lives. And sometimes these stressful periods aren't just a week, but they're months at a time. In April, I did my absolute best to get in at least 3 workouts a week. And even though some of the workouts were 15-minute workouts, I knew that I can't use all the work I have as an excuse to not move my body. Like, I have 15 minutes, and even though I felt a little defeated, like, I can't believe that's all I did, I looked back after each week in April and realized, wow, even with all the work I had, I still got in 15 minutes here and 15 minutes there, and that is better than nothing. I can sometimes have that all or nothing mentality, and that's not really helpful because 10 minutes of moving is better than nothing. So don't feel like I usually like to dedicate 45 minutes to working out, but I just didn't have that some days. April was the last, I was an adjunct professor, and working my pediatric job and trying to wrap up my CEU course that I'm making. And being an adjunct in April, there was a lot of projects that I had to be involved in. and a lot of grading. That was really what killed me. In April was all the work for my teaching job. That really like robbed me of my weekends. April was just tough. Okay. April was just really tough. So I did my best to move my body, but there were other things that I neglected, and I feel bad because I know how good these things are for me, but some of my self-care was neglected. So yes, I did find time to exercise, but I completely stopped meditating. And meditating is like taking my brain vitamins, my soul vitamins, and I admit it, I stopped meditating for 2 weeks, and I meditated today for the first time in 2 weeks, and I felt amazing. Meditating is the one thing that keeps me grounded, and especially during a stressful time, I needed it more than ever, but I told myself, okay, I don't have time for that. Isn't it funny how like we tell ourselves these things that we don't have time for, but we do have time to like scroll on Instagram? I'm like guilty of it, okay? Like I have to admit it. So yes, that happened to me for the last 2 weeks, and I know like that's not an excuse. Meditating is something that I can't cut out, just like exercise, just like eating, taking a shower. Meditating is vital. So when you're going through a stressful period, yes, you might have to sacrifice some things, but self-care isn't something that you should sacrifice because it's an absolute necessity. Okay, so if you're going through a more relaxed period in your life, self-care could be a little more glamorous. It could be a little more luxurious, like having a spa day, getting a massage, going to a juice cafe, or or putting a mask on your face. Like self-care could be really luxurious. But when you're going through a stressful period in your life, I want you to ask yourself, what does self-care look like for you? For me, self-care looked like 15 minutes of exercise. It looked like, I didn't meditate, but it looks like spending at least 10 minutes meditating. Self-care doesn't have to be this luxurious, unattainable thing. It simply means having 10 minutes to yourself. And okay, I'm not totally bad because I did attempt to meditate in the shower, and I was every day. I'm pretty sure I told myself my mantras at least once. I have certain mantras I like to repeat to myself. So self-care could mean that. Self-care can mean going to sleep early. It doesn't have to be going the extra mile. It could just mean, okay, I'm going to sleep tonight. I'm going to make tea for myself. I'm going to move for 10 minutes. Okay. So even if you are going through a very stressful period in your life, you have to understand that you're not the Energizer Bunny. Like you need to recharge your batteries a little bit every day, because you won't last long if you don't. If you're just running on caffeine or you're running on adrenaline all day, tackling these stressful projects, or if you're a student, exams, like how are you? Yeah, you might, get through the exam, but are you completely dead afterwards? So think about that. Think about how you can take care of yourself in a very practical, realistic way that doesn't necessarily mean you're going out of your way to take care of yourself. How are you taking care of yourself now during this stressful period in your life? All right, number 2, número 2, don't ditch the healthy eats. Man, so last week particularly, I have the luxury of staying at my parents' house because they are closer to Miami. So if I have to do things in that area, because I live in Delray Beach. So, okay, if you're familiar with Miami and the 305, my parents live in the 954. Okay, they live in Broward, in Pembroke Pines. So I can stay in their house if I'm going to the school where I teach at, or if I'm going to, like, this month, the students had a lot of projects that were in different facilities that happened to be around my parents' house. So basically last week, I only saw my husband once. I stayed at my parents' house the whole week. And it's really easy when you're stressed or when you're really pressed for time, it's really easy to get into the habit of ordering takeout every day because it's just quicker and easier. And I broke out last week. Like, my skin, my face, I completely broke out. Not only was I dealing with an insane amount of pressure I put on myself with all the work I had to do, but I was eating shit and I was drinking a ton of coffee. And I get into these weird habits when I'm stressed where I drink more coffee, and oh gosh, that's just like not good. Because I know I have a coffee thing. Okay. I like my café con leche. I like my coffee, and it's hard, but I realized this week, now that the semester is done, that I can take my foot off the gas, that I put in my last paper. I realized, like, I have slowed down and realized, okay, I get into the habit of thinking I need coffee, and during normal, quote unquote, seasons of my life, I drink maybe 2 cups, on average 1 cup. So I realized, okay, I don't need that much coffee. And going through a stressful period, like, I don't even want to look at my bank account because I ate up Panera Bread, or I don't even know where else I ate. Like, we ate out a lot last week. It was just a very unusual schedule. And sometimes that happens. But I am proud of myself because I did meal prep and I took my meals to my parents' house. Was I able to eat all of them? No, there's still 2 Tupperwares in the fridge of my meals from last week, but I ate like 75% of the meals that I prepped. So I did make an effort. And meal prepping might take you a few hours on a Sunday or Monday. Like, I think I did my meal prepping for the week on a Monday, but it really it made me feel so good that even though I couldn't cook or I had to get something quick for the rest of the week, that I was able to have my healthy meals as an option. So it's really easy to just say, fuck it, I'm busy, I'm studying, I'm just gonna order takeout. It's just really easy because it really comes from a place of being unprepared. And if you spend a little bit of time preparing before, like, if you know it's going to be a stressful week, but you can meal prep Sunday night, it's going to be a game changer. It's going to save you. So my little meals were healthy, and although I didn't get to all of them, I did eat most of them, and it was very helpful. So don't throw away your healthy eats. Try to stay on track as much as you can. And this is not like a punishment thing or a diet mentality. It's about the self-care. It's about, I'm going to nourish my body with good foods and take care of my body when I'm stressed. And I want to feel good. I don't want to crash. I want to eat those complex carbs. I want to eat protein and veggies. I want to feel good during this stressful time, because we all tend to reach for the simple carbs and the coffee, and we crash, right? So do your best. Keep up the healthy eats. Okay, number 3, don't think about all the things you have to do. I'm terrible at this because last week I had 2 breakdowns. Almost cried. I teared. I didn't cry. But I had 2 breakdowns about thinking about all the things I had to do for the week. And that is such a trap. It's such an easy trap to fall into. So what I did, and even though I wasn't perfect at it, I really wrote down to the T every single detail of what I needed to get done for each day. And it made my days more manageable, because instead of thinking I have to grade 20 papers this week, I wrote down, okay, on Tuesday, I will grade 10 papers from 1 to 4 o'clock. And it just made the week a little bit easier on me. Even though I did have the little mental breaks, I did get overwhelmed and I let it get to me. I did my best to write everything down in my planner. There's something about writing things versus typing that For me, it makes me feel good. So if you like tend to jot things down on your phone, I feel like it gets lost. I feel like those things get lost unless you're really good about it and you have an app that has you on point. But other than that, I'm a firm believer in paper and pen. So writing things down, crossing things out is super satisfying. Oh my God. With that. But crossing things off your to-do list is really satisfying as well. So I make it very specific. I had to get down to the hour last week. I don't do that all the time, but I had so much to do in April, let alone like last week, that every hour was crucial. And guess what? I found time to nap. I'm a good napper. I can set my alarm for 30 minutes and take a nap and wake up feeling like Beyonce, feeling like Shakira. I can wake up from a nap feeling fantastic. And like less than 30 minutes, because I set the timer for 30 minutes, but the first 5 minutes I'm up. But taking little naps last week, even though I'm like, I could have graded like a few papers. No, taking little naps during the most stressful week where I broke out and was like overwhelmed really rejuvenated me in the smallest yet most profound ways. So yeah, self-care. I took a nap because I needed to. I needed to take naps last week. And it was just, again, weird schedule. Everything was weird about last week. But I got through it, and I got through it one day at a time. So don't think about all the things you have to do, especially if you're going into a very stressful, I say this because I was a teacher, an adjunct professor, but if you're going through school, you're going through a stressful semester, don't think about all the things you have to do for the entire semester. Or like if you're going through a stressful project at work, if you're like, for example, my husband, since he works at a country club in Florida, during winter, it's packed because all his clients, his patients are snowbirds. So during the summer now, it really starts to slow down. Everyone goes back home up north. So during the winter, in his particular case, he could think about all the patients he has to see and all the notes and evals he has to do for the entire season. Or like I said, if you're a student and you think about all the papers you have to do for the semester, I mean, it feels very overwhelming. And it's not helpful to you to feel like that. Like, why are you going to stress yourself out in that way? Like, take it one day, 1 week at a time and think about how you can get through, but also think about, okay, I still need time to cook. I still need time to walk my dog. I still need time to call a friend on the phone. Like, don't forget that you're a human and that you need to recharge yourself. Kind of going back to my first point of don't throw self-care out the window. So I survived a stressful season. You can too. We all can survive stress. It's about how we manage. I used to be so terrible at managing stress. Even a few years ago, I was like, again, I'm not perfect, but I was just way worse at handling it then. I would cry and have these tantrums, and sometimes, don't get me wrong, I still have my little tantrums and I still have my breakdowns, but everything was much more dramatic back then. And now I really check myself, and I'm much more aware of, okay, this is stress. This is a lot. This is all the work I have to do. Okay, how am I going to show up to it? How am I going to handle it? What does this say about me? What does this say about my long-term health? Because having breakdowns all the time is not the best for your health. And being chronically stressed, we all know, leads to increased risk of cardiovascular disease and high blood pressure and all these sorts of things. So you're not special. You're not the only one dealing with stress. So think about how you can be a boss, how you can slay. Oh my God, I think I overuse that word, but how you can slay your stress. Not that you can eliminate it, but how are you going to manage it? How are you going to show up better to deal with your stress? Okay. So again, I'm currently sipping on sangrias in Spain. If you would love to hear about a particular topic, send me an email at Erika, ERIKA, at joyenergytime.com. I have some really fun things planned for the summer, so I can't wait for that. And last little thing, if you haven't already done so, please leave a review, honest review, and of course, you can leave me 5 stars. I won't be mad at you. It's great on iTunes because that's how my show can continue to be more visible to more people that would love to listen to my show. So yeah, just spend like a few seconds, leave me a review. I would so appreciate that. Thank you so much. Mwah. Love you. Bye. Thanks for listening. If you want more, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Also, share this episode with your friends, and I would be so grateful. If you feel inspired, leave a review on iTunes with an honest comment and or what you'd like to hear more of so you can help me out on my journey in delivering meaningful content. Thanks, mis amores.